Good morning and welcome to another program from Liceo Radio. Today we have with us Marie Libin, who's come to visit us from the camp that we visited in Boston, Camp Francaday. Good morning, Marie.
Good morning.
And so we're going to, we've got some Liceo students here, some Liceo campers, and we're going to interview Marie and discuss with her a little bit about our experiences at Camp Francaday in Boston. So, if we can begin with Erika.
So, as an American university student, can I ask why you decided to come to Europe and what you have found while here?
Yeah, of course. So I'm studying here on a semester abroad. I'm currently studying in the Netherlands and taking a semester here where I take classes during the week in the Netherlands, and then every weekend I get to travel to a different city in Europe. So this week happens to be my spring break, so I'm spending it in Madrid, which I'm very happy about. And I've had so much fun so far. It's been amazing to see so many different places in Europe.
And how many countries have you visited so far, Marie?
Oh, well, so far I think it's been 6 or 7 so far, and in total I'm trying to hit 10. So I'm on my way.
Yeah. And is there any particular country that you liked above the others so far?
Well, I mean, I do like Spain a lot. That's definitely in my top. I went to Barcelona this past weekend and I love that. And I think my other favorite so far would have to be Budapest. I loved Budapest. It was beautiful and there was a lot to see and do.
Hi, I'm Elena and I'm going to ask you a question. What has your experience in Spain been like?
Well, it's been great. So like I said, this past weekend I was in Barcelona and I was on an excursion there with my school. So I went to a lot of different places like the Sagrada Familia and a bunch of different beautiful parks. And I only got to Madrid yesterday, and I'll be here for the rest of this weekend, and I've loved it so far.
I'm Paula, so can I start by asking about your experience at the camp as a child? What do you remember about it, most like about it?
Yeah, of course. So I started going to camp when I was 8 years old, so this upcoming summer will be my 12th summer. And so I started as in the freshman unit, and then I was a junior and a senior and a counselor, and now I'm in charge of the freshman unit, which is the youngest age group at camp. And I love camp, so I've been going for 12 years, so I can't really stop going. And yeah, it makes me really happy, and I've met some of my best friends there.
I'm Lucia, and my question would be, do you think that camp has changed since then?
I think some things change, but some things always stay the same. So there have, of course, been new campers and new counselors, and there's always new people coming in and out of camp. But then there's definitely some things that always stay the same. Such as some of our values and some of our traditions that we have, those stay the same. But the people definitely, they've changed over the years for sure.
Hi, I'm Carlota, and what about now? What is your favorite camp activity to organize and take part in?
That's a tough one. I think my favorite one would be music still, because I love to sing. And also my favorite thing about music is no matter, who the camper is, I think that music is something that everyone can do, and it's not something that you have to be good at to enjoy. So that's why I like music a lot.
So Marie, I have a question. So children these days, modern children, are very accustomed to technology, their gadgets, their mobile phones, computers, etc. And I know at camp, obviously, you don't allow them to have those.
Right.
How do you find that modern children survive 2-4 weeks without that?
Right. That's a good question. Well, I think at first, for some people, especially when they first start coming to camp, it's really difficult at first. Because starting from a very young age now, people are very used to having their phones on them all the time. So at first, I think it can make those, face-to-face, people-to-people interactions a little bit awkward. But I think in the end, it really improves people's communication skills and ability just to meet people by not having their phone. So I think it's difficult at first, but it's ultimately a good thing. Sure.
And as freshman unit director, you work with the youngest campers.
Yes.
So I'm sure a lot of parents might be thinking, well, how do the youngest campers adapt to being away from home?
Yeah, well, I think that something that we obviously do deal with in the freshman unit is homesickness, but that's obviously something that can sometimes happen in any unit. But I think at camp that your age just doesn't matter as much. I mean, I think at first, especially from a parent perspective, it can be scary to send your kid to camp when they're 7 or 8 years old. But as you know, as soon as you're at camp, you're surrounded by other people who are your age, and I think that the counselors that we have at camp are really, really great at making the campers feel at home and trying to make sure they have fun. And there's extensive training that the counselors go through that to make sure that we can do everything we can to make sure that even the youngest campers have a good time.
Okay, and can you describe to us like a typical day at camp? What is it like?
Okay, so we get up at 7 to 8 a.m. depending on how old you are, and we have flagpole at 8 a.m. and at flagpole we all gather together. We say the Pledge of Allegiance, which you don't have to say, and then we go in the dining hall and we have breakfast, and then throughout the day there is a bunch of different activity periods where we have sports and we have arts and crafts and swimming. We have a huge waterfront where there's a lot of activities there. So throughout the day, depending on your age group, you'll have the opportunity to do all of those things. And then we gather again as a camp for lunch and for dinner. And then we always have an evening activity before heading to bed. So that's it in short. It's a much longer day than that.
Yeah, and roughly how many kids do you have on camp when it's full?
That's a good question that I'm not positive about, but I think a little bit over 300 when we're full.
Okay, and the foreign campers at Franca Days. I mean, there's 300. There's we normally take about 25 kids, so it's mostly Americans, obviously. How do you find the Spanish kids gel with the American campers?
Well, I think at first there's obviously a little bit of a divide, just because of the language barrier a little bit, maybe too. I think that a lot of times at the beginning, the Spanish campers who come will kind of stick to each other. And the Americans probably do that to a certain extent too. But I would say by a few days in, with the counselors' help, but also with the campers being brave and starting to talk to one another, I think by a few days in, you can definitely see, them blending together well. And I think that the divide goes away pretty quickly.
Okay, and so you've already described a day for us at camp for the campers. What about for you and the counselors and the directors? What's a day like for you guys?
So for the counselors, it's a very packed day. A lot of the counselors have similar schedules to the campers because they teach the different activities and they are referees for the different sports. So they'll sometimes have a similar schedule. The lifeguards will spend most of their days on the waterfront. And then each of the counselors has one period off a day where they get to relax and do their own thing. But other than that, they're busy all day, teaching and joining in with the campers.
And if a Spanish camper wanted to go on to become a counselor or a unit director, wanted to work at camp, what would they have to do? How would they go about that?
Well, I think that any of the Spanish campers should apply because they'd be great counselors. I think what they would do is they would approach you or Gemma and talk to our camp director Zach and apply and go through the same application process that the Americans would by having an interview and sending in an application. And
are there any kind of certifications or anything that would help them?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point. Being lifeguard certified is always a great thing to have as a counselor and really makes you an eligible counselor for sure. So being lifeguard certified, but really having any sort of certification, from archery to climbing to even if there's something in art like pottery, any sort of certification.
Okay.
So I'm Arthur, and I would like to ask, why did you choose the freshman unit and not the others?
Okay. Well, I personally I like working with the youngest kids the best. I think it's really cool to be able to work with kids who are most likely coming to camp for the first or second time, and being able to really shape their experience at camp, and just being able to shape them as people too. That's what I love most about working with the youngest ones.
And Lucia?
Liceo has sent children to Camp Franca Day for 2 years now. Do you have any anecdotes or special memories of our Spanish campers?
Well, we have Elena sitting right here with us. And her first summer at camp, I was her counselor, and I was her first counselor. And I can't think of anything specific, and this isn't really an anecdote, but I think that just seeing Elena's growth over the past 3 years as being her first counselor, and then her second counselor, and then this past summer I was the unit director in her unit. I think just being able to see that growth over 3 years is just incredible. From her English to her energy to her confidence, you can just really see so much growth no matter where you're from or who you are.
And so American camps all have their sort of particular philosophy. What is Camp Frankie Day's philosophy? What are they special for?
Well, I mean, I think the biggest thing that, at Camp Frankie Day, it's a great place to grow. That's sort of one of our mottos. And I think that something else that's really important is our 4 core values, which are respect, responsibility, honesty, and caring. And those are 4 things that we hold as being very important at camp. Those terms too.
Yeah, and another thing that is unique to Franca Day is the color wars.
Yes.
So your kids always enjoy that, and parents might be asking themselves, "So what are the color wars?" Can you tell us a little bit about that event?
Sure. So during 2 points at each summer, the whole camp is completely divided for almost 48 hours. And we have 2 teams. We have the green team and the gray team. And all of the counselors and all of the campers are divided onto both of these teams. And for 48 exhausting hours, they compete. There's different athletic events. There's a lot of athletic events. And then we also have a song and a cheer. So there's an artistic component. But it's really just an intense, but really fun competition that goes on for all those hours, and then at the end, a winner is picked.
And do you mind if I ask which color you were?
I was on the gray team, but now as I'm on the leadership team, so now we're technically team purple. But when I was a counselor and a camper, I was on the gray team.
So you got used to winning then?
Yes.
And this year in class, I've actually read an article with one of my classes about an American author who was describing her experiences at camp when she was a child. And she was talking about how she kind of didn't really like sports, she wasn't very sporty, and she was kind of shy. So if you're a child and you've got those, that's part of your personality, shyness, maybe you're not a very sporty person, do you think that kind of child could still have fun at camp? Or?
Yeah, I actually think that camp is a perfect place for that child. I mean, I think that camp, has the potential to help, children who may be in that situation even more so than people who are already outgoing and sporty and have all of that. I think that, like I said, camp doesn't just offer sports. We have, things from music to arts and crafts to drama, all sorts of different activities. And as far as shyness, I think that camp just has this way of pulling people out of their shell and making people just comfortable, being who they are and making friends. And again, the counselors also just do a great job of really bringing the kids together and trying to make everyone feel included.
Fabulous. And do you have more countries that you're going to go to now after you leave us here in sunny Spain?
I do, yeah. So next weekend, I'll be headed to Italy, and then Ireland, and then Copenhagen, and then I'm finishing up in London before I go home.
Oh, nice. And anything you'd like to sort of say to any parents who might be thinking about sending their children off in summertime, or any sort of last things to say about Franca Day?
I can't preach enough what an amazing opportunity I think it is. And I think that all of the people who are campers that are sitting here can vouch for that. But yeah, I think it's a great experience. It's obviously a little bit scary, the idea of sending your kid to a different country. But I promise that, Camp Frankie Day, it feels like home. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time, Marie.
Yeah, thank you.
And it's been great, and we hope that you enjoy your time here in Spain and in Europe.
Thank you.